Hello and welcome to Stock Market Voyager. I'm your host, Christy Kern, and today we're joined by Geert Kersten, CEO of CEL-SCI Corporation. Geert, thank you so much for joining us. CEL-SCI has been making headlines with its global expansion strategy, including a major new partnership in Saudi Arabia that could accelerate patient access to Multikine. So thank you again for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And, it was great seeing you last year. It's great seeing you again now.
So CEL-SCI recently signed a memorandum of understanding with Dallah Pharma, which is a leading Saudi pharmaceutical company under Dallah Healthcare. Can you share how this partnership came about and why Dallah was the right partner to bring Multikine to patients in the kingdom?
Let's take a step back, right? So people say, Saudi Arabia, really? Like, the reality is Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, actually, as you saw with the Trump visit there, the huge deals that were being signed, it's a rising economic power. So what I've seen there is women are involved in the workforce, they're driving. So people have this idea, Saudi Arabia backwards. All the people I'm dealing with are highly educated. They went to the same schools that we all went to, probably hung out at the same parties, and now they're back. And they have the money and they want to build something in those countries. And Saudi Arabia, which is the largest of all of those countries in the Middle East and the richest, they have a Vision 2030 plan that's being driven by their crown prince, who is in his mid-30s. And the vision says, we have to diversify the economy. We have to provide good healthcare. We want to be big in AI, which is why you saw these hundreds of billions of dollars deals being done when the president went there recently. And so the government is pushing that. They want good healthcare for their people. So what they've done is they copied American and European regulations for healthcare, and they brought in very smart people. We've met with them. By the way, interestingly, it was half men, half women. So people think that there are no women working there. It's actually not true. And they're taking the approach that the US FDA took during the first administration of Trump, which is that if there is a medicine that is really able to help our people, as long as there is no safety problem, but if there's something missing where you haven't dotted all of the I's and crossed all of the T's, then we want to bring it to people today while you do the study to dot the I's and cross the T's, right? It is not form over substance. It's they focus on the substance and then let you do the form afterwards, which is, by the way, how it was during the first administration of Trump. In the US, the law was changed under Biden. So you could no longer get a quick accelerated approval for a very promising drug. And you now have to enroll that study first, which is one of the reasons why biotechnology has been weak as an investment area. The Saudis, so we decided we have a drug here where, based on the largest study ever in 928 patients, head and neck cancer, which is from here to here, horrible cancer, they cut your tongue out and things like that. We know exactly who the people are who are going to have a massive survival benefit, which is the only thing that people care about, right? Do I get to live? So we know the people on this side with these characteristics will reach 5-year survival, which is considered to be a cure by most people. In fact, it's 73% of them will be alive versus 45%. I would think that that's not just statistically significant, but even a 4-year-old can tell you it's better to be in the 73% range, right? Over there, those people, they don't have the same benefit. So we know exactly why would you withhold it. Anyway, in the US, it will take longer. We worked out with the FDA the study we have to do, but we think that based on all the interaction in Saudi Arabia, that they are taking the approach that if this is something that can help our people, as long as it's safe and very promising, we will let you sell it in Saudi Arabia. What that basically means in short then is we have a really good shot at being able to sell our drug in Saudi Arabia, which is not some little nothing country. It's 37 million people plus 16 million expats. People go there for medical tourism. And then, once you're commercial, obviously, it's a lot more interesting, right? That money then potentially, if things work out well, and maybe local investors can be used to fund the confirmatory study, which we have to do for the FDA. And I mean, the chance statistically, the data is so good that the chance statistically that we will not be successful is under 5%. Right? I have talked with regulators and they've told me that they cannot change the procedures. And I just cringe when procedures override what is a very obvious benefit for patients, huge benefit, with no safety issues. But that's what the system is like. So anyway, that's why we're going to Saudi Arabia. Then we will do the study for FDA, hopefully get rapid FDA approval, hopefully get rapid European approval, then take our drug from head and neck cancer to breast cancer, melanoma, cervical, in order to make the first cancer treatment more successful. I meant to give you a short summary, but it's so exciting to talk about this. It will change the lives of so many people.
Absolutely. There's a lot of information. So also as part of the collaboration, Dallah Pharma filed an application with the Saudi Food and Drug Authority for Breakthrough Medicine Designation for Multikine. So if granted, Multikine could be made available to patients within just 60 days with reimbursement. How significant is that milestone for both patient impact and also CEL-SCI's commercialization strategy?
Well, patient impact is clear, right? Even if you're in the US and you absolutely you fall into that group of people where we know the drug works, but we still have to do a confirmatory study in the US, you have the option of going to Saudi Arabia. But definitely for the people living in Saudi Arabia, they have a government-sponsored healthcare system with reimbursement. The drug will be available. For us, it's that we become commercial. We're no longer just a research and development company. We will have income. Why do we want a partner? Well, first of all, look, I like to travel, but I do not want to start selling in foreign countries. Every country has its own rules. The second, though, is the government of Saudi Arabia wants you to partner. They want their own companies to learn. So our drug is a very complicated cancer drug. That is the highest level. It's like an NVIDIA chip, the highest level of complexity and what everybody aspires to. So if we teach Dallah, which is a very recognized firm, they're full of smart people with Western degrees, etc., we can teach them something that they're not exposed to today. The government likes it. And if the government likes it, then maybe they like us too and will help us too. The whole goal is to bring this drug to as many people as possible to help. And along the way, we hope to make money for the shareholders. It's simple.
The MOU is expected to be finalized into a formal partnership agreement in the third quarter of 2025. So what milestones are you and Dallah Pharma prioritizing as you move toward that definitive agreement?
Well, the breakthrough designation, which is really kind of an accelerated approval, because you get approval to sell afterwards, that was filed already. And as suggested by the Saudi FDA, it was filed by a partner. And by the way, that's not in the regulations. So if you're a big pharma company, you can file yourself. But for us as a small company, knowing that we need a partner, they said, we want you to apply with a local partner. And it's perfectly understandable. We already talked about why. We benefit from it and the partner benefits from it. They also would like us to do studies in Saudi Arabia. They want their ecosystem to learn from all of that. And, hopefully then we can, as we get sales, we can use those sales to fund the confirmatory study that we have to do for FDA.
We've seen reports that several Saudi investment funds have expressed interest in supporting CEL-SCI, Multikine, or even a joint venture in the region. How does this investor interest validate the opportunity, and how might it accelerate CEL-SCI's presence in the broader Middle East and North Africa markets?
Look, it's very simple. The investors in that region want to see SFDA approval, meaning their FDA. It's a validation. Then there's the possibility to make money. Everybody understands that if you have a cancer drug that has great survival benefit and is safe, is going to be worth a lot of money. But they need the SFDA, Saudi FDA, to approve it, to review it. It's one of their locals. Then we have a partnership with one of their local powerhouses, also Dallah, and all of that creates a certain level of confidence. And then, like we talked earlier, you need to actually meet people. You need to have a meal with them, break bread with them. They need to get comfortable with you. And from that, if you have a good idea and you're helping the government and you can make money with it, from that opportunities arise. So all of that is being put in place. And if things work out really well, the future funding for this company will come from Saudi Arabia or the Middle East, as opposed to going to Wall Street and playing those little games all the time.
Since May, CEL-SCI has raised more than $10 million in fresh capital. How does this strengthen balance sheet position the company to advance both the U.S. confirmatory trial and near-term commercialization with Dallah in Saudi Arabia?
Well, we have finished all of the manufacturing work. So we have our own manufacturing facility. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but FDA requested it. We just made drug for the Saudi Arabian market, since we hope to have approval there soon. And so the current focus is to get the collaboration done in Saudi Arabia to get the SFDA go ahead and to launch the product. The secondary focus is we've prepared the confirmatory study, but if there's an uncertain environment for the biotechnology, as there has been, then you have to be careful about making massive commitments. I think that in the next few months, we will put so many pieces together that it should, number one, very positively impact the valuation of the company and therefore the ability to raise capital, but also bring in money from European and Middle Eastern sources. With that money, then, you would be able to do what is the last piece in our company, which is the confirmatory study that you have to do for FDA. And then as you get data from that, you can get together with FDA and you can see if you can get accelerated approval and things like that. Because they have expressed clearly that they want to see overall survival, and we have massive overall survival. They want to see safety, obviously. They want, and if you look at Kennedy, he has said he wants things that work with the body. He doesn't want the poisons that we're injecting. Our drug is non-toxic and it works with the body. So we just have to put the pieces in play. I think the next few months will give us a really good shot at doing that. In fact, I myself just bought another $200,000 worth of stock a few weeks ago because I think we can do so. And but there are no shortcuts. You got to do the work. You got to meet with people, earn their trust, and hopefully all of that will work out.
And with the FDA having cleared CEL-SCI to begin a confirmatory registration study in the US, how do these dual regulatory strategies, Saudi Arabia's breakthrough pathway and the US confirmatory trial, reinforce each other in building global momentum for Multikine?
I would not want to speak for any regulator. So I think they want to be independent of one another. I think they are independent of one another. Maybe someone will be influenced by the actions of the others, but if there's a safety problem somewhere, it affects everybody, right? If one agency finds a safety problem, everybody reacts. But we don't have that here. Here it's an approval which would come earlier than the United States. So I cannot say that the US FDA will suddenly be influenced and accelerate something like that. I'm hoping, but hope is not a good business plan. So we just go about our plan, and if good things happen, then we'll be happy.
This partnership also aligns with Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 and the National Biotechnology Strategy, which emphasize healthcare innovation and self-sufficiency. How does CEL-SCI's work with Dallah Pharma fit into this larger transformation of the kingdom's healthcare landscape?
This is a very, very important thing. Saudi Arabia, again, I'm not an expert on Saudi Arabia, but it appears to me that if the government kingdom, right, says that you should be doing something to enhance these goals, then it's a good thing if you're doing something to enhance these goals. You probably get some goodies, you get grants, etc. Our goal is to not just sell the drug there, it's to help the people there, to expose them, to do studies with them. They can become principal authors on these studies. And that is exactly what the government wants. If we're fortunate, the government will then look at us positively. And in fact, some of the major government funds have already talked to the people we're dealing with. So somehow we are attracting the attention from the government in a positive way. Because think about it. These kinds of cancer drugs that we have are generally owned by the big pharma companies. Oh, shoot, all these guys. They don't need a partner. They won't do a partner. They won't share technology. So they have their own subsidiaries in Saudi Arabia. We, on the other hand, are small. You can request a partner from us. We will teach them. We will involve ourselves in Saudi Arabia to an extent and share technology that others will not. So my feeling is, if you do something nice for me, then most likely I will do something nice for you. So again, I have to earn the trust of the people. And over time, good things will happen because it is a drug that helps people, that's safe, and everybody knows that you can make money in medicine with a good cancer drug.
For investors following closely, what are the top 2 or even 3 catalysts that they should be watching for between now and early 2026?
It's probably the main one is Saudi Arabia, right? Because going commercial, it's a huge deal. You'll be able to sell the drug. With it may come investments from the Middle East. And all of that will hopefully then allow us to start the confirmatory study that FDA requires, which would lead, that one study, it's only 212 patients, but that one study is designed to gain or give us approval in the US, but also Europe, which are by far the largest markets, obviously.
Hey, Geert, thank you so much for sharing these important updates from global partnerships to breakthrough regulatory filings. It's clear that CEL-SCI is entering a new phase of growth and also opportunity. And also to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us on Stock Market Voyager. For more information, you can visit CEL-SCI's website or follow their ticker symbol CVM on the New York Stock Exchange American market. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Drew.